Next question, about 23% of carbon dioxide is transported as, options are A. carbamino compound, B. bicarbonate of sodium and potassium, option C. carboxyhemoglobin, and option D. oxyhemoglobin. When it comes to transportation of carbon dioxide takes place in three ways. One is as physical solution, carbon dioxide combining with water of plasma. Second is carbon dioxide combines with hemoglobin to form carbaminohemoglobin, and third is bicarbonate of sodium and potassium. When you look into the options, option D, oxyhemoglobin, that is oxygen combining with hemoglobin to form oxyhemoglobin, is not related to transport of carbon dioxide. So, this option can be ruled out. When you look into option C, carboxyhemoglobin, even this is also not related to transportation of carbon dioxide, because carboxyhemoglobin is a product formed by combination of carbon monoxide and hemoglobin. So, even this option also can be ruled out. Whereas, two are related to the transportation of carbon dioxide. One is carbamino compound and second is bicarbonates of sodium and potassium. Here the question is 23%. During transportation of carbon dioxide, as I told you earlier, 7% of carbon dioxide is transported as physical solution, that is it combines with water of plasma to form H2CO3 carbonic acid. This is only 7%. 23% of carbon dioxide is transported by combining with carbamino compound, that is carbon dioxide plus HbNH2 giving HbCOONH. So, this is carbamino hemoglobin. 70% of carbon dioxide is transported in the form of bicarbonates of sodium and potassium. So, the answer for this question is option A, that is carbamino compounds. Locomotion and movement, and second neural control and coordination. In locomotion and movement, as you have already studied the types of movement, amoeboid movement, ciliary movement and muscular movement. And in muscular movement, we have three types of muscles: smooth muscles, skeletal muscles and cardiac muscles. In cardiac muscles, it is involuntary in function and striations are present, but in skeletal muscles, it is voluntary in action and also we find striations. But in smooth muscles, we don't find any striations and it is involuntary in function. We are going to discuss, already we have discussed in detail the structure of muscle fiber, where two proteins are present, contractile protein, one is actin and second is myosin. Actin is a light band and myosin forms dark band. And actin is made up of two F filaments and two tropomyosin molecules, and there are myotrophins also. Myotrophins block the active sites which bind to the head of the myosin molecules at the time of contraction. Myosin is a major dark band that is found in muscle. At the time of contraction, as you have studied in filament sliding movement, where the head of the myosin attaches to the active sites of the actin and it pushes the actin filaments into the sarcomere. That is how there is sliding movement during contraction of muscle fiber. So, in this chapter also you have studied the various skeletal system, various skeletons that are found in skeletal system of our body, starting from axial skeletal system to appendicular skeletal system, and in total there are 206 bones in our body. They have been divided into axial skeletal system and appendicular skeletal system. There are 80 bones in axial skeletal system and 126 bone in appendicular skeletal system. So, each and every bone you should be familiar with, and questions may arise in CET regarding the joints also, where there is pivot joint, sliding joint, or fibrous joint, or ball and socket joint is there. So, various joints are present in different parts of our body that enables us for easy movement of body and body parts. Then in neural control and coordination, you have already studied the structure of neuron. There is cyton, that is cell body, and there is an axon long filament which is covered by a myelin sheath, and Schwann cells, there are node of Ranvier, and also you have studied the conduction of nerve impulse, where a nerve impulse is conducted by a neuron. Initially the neuron has difference in potential in the membrane. Outside it is negatively charged and inside it is positively charged due to the presence of sodium ion more in the outer membrane of the outer surface of the membrane, and potassium present more in the inner surface of the membrane. This potential difference is called resting membrane potential, which is about minus 70 millivolts. When a stimulus is given to this neuron, there is change in polarity of the ions. The sodium channel open and there is active influx of sodium and there is outflux of potassium. There is the difference where now the outside of the membrane becomes negatively charged and inside of the membrane becomes positively charged. This change in potential, we call this as action potential, and we call that neuron as depolarized. Earlier it is polarized in resting membrane potential. After giving a stimulus, it becomes depolarized. Now, this is called impulse that will travel all along the length of the neuron in fraction of seconds, and the original resting potential is retained back, and we call that state as repolarization. So, a neuron undergoes, first it is in a polarized state, then it becomes depolarized, then after conduction of nerve impulse it becomes repolarized. So, the potential given or the stimulus given for a nerve impulse to conduct an impulse is called action potential, that is up to minus 60 millivolts. So, in detail you have already studied this. Also you have studied in this chapter the structure of brain, various parts of the brain, where brain is divisible into forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. There is cerebrum, thalamus and hypothalamus, these are the parts of forebrain. Then there is cerebral aqueduct, pons, medulla, cerebellum, all these are the parts of hindbrain, and various functions of the brains also you have already studied. Also you have studied the functioning of reflex action, how exactly reflex action is conducted by the spinal cord without the knowledge of the brain. So, reflex arc is there where there is sensory neuron carries the impulse to the interneuron sends the message to the motor neuron, and motor neuron sends the message to effector, and there is a response. So, this quick and stereotyped response to any stimulus without the knowledge of brain is called reflex action. So, the components of reflex action is very important here. Also you have studied in this chapter the structure of eye and structure of ear, where how exactly there is functioning of vision is taking place and what are the centers of hearing. All this you have studied already in detail.